Callahan from the Herald covers the Patriots. All right, you got something, an article coming out today about Mac Jones, right?
Yes, it's up on the website now. It'll be in print tomorrow. And like I said earlier in the show, talked with a couple people last night just about Mac's status. And, they haven't made a decision, as Belichick said. But two people have told me that the majority of players are out on him in the locker room. And one put it
took this long?
Yeah, 80-20. It was the figure that I got. And let's say that that's even, a gross overestimation. You still have a long way to get down to 50-50 from there. And so I think it's a sense, and I know it's a sense in talking to people in and around the locker room. It's just you can have your best game defensively, or you can run certain routes so you can get open, or you can block, or whatever it is. And it doesn't matter if the quarterback is throwing the ball to the other team.
Well, they gave up 10 points the other day, and they lost. I mean, it's the first time it's happened since Brady took over.
And he doesn't get knocked, and he shouldn't. He's a good kid. He works his ass off. He was going to bed at 6 to get on Germany time, like a week before they made that trip. But it's just not happening, and it's not going to happen here. And guys in the locker room go, I need to get a job somewhere else, or at least put enough good tape for them to keep me here. And it's hard to do that when we're 2-8, and people go, that roster is the worst in the league.
You guys ask Belichick pretty much every week, is Mac your quarterback? And he would answer you guys immediately, yeah, Mac's our guy. And this happened earlier in the season. To hear him say what he just said coming into this segment, to me, speaks volumes. The head coach is out on him. He has to be, based on his performance, but more importantly, to let that slip like that to you guys is amazing to me, because he was so definitive earlier in the season, regardless of what Mac did. Yep, Mac's our guy. We're going back to him because he hated Zappe so much. What must it have taken for him to finally even couch the idea of Mac being his starter?
Well, I look at it like this, because that answer was actually in line with everything we heard after October 20-something last year. Like when he came back from injury, we asked him every single week, is he going to be the starter? And he wouldn't commit to anything long-term. And then we got to the start of training camp, and he tells Sirius XM Radio, like, we'll throw him out there. We'll see if they'll compete. Whatever happens, happens. And at the end of training camp, he had come around. Like it was this relationship he had been in, where he got cheated on, got over it. And then it just happens again against Dallas and New Orleans and the Colts, where he's just handing the ball over, doing gifts and helping these other teams. And the Patriots are losing, and it brings everyone down. So I think that's really more in line with what he's been saying for the last 12 months. But Mac did come around, played better to start the season, and then just nuked his chances of being the team's quarterback for the rest of the season and the season itself.
So here's the follow-up to that, though, is Bailey Zappe. I mean, there's nothing. Is there really nothing there, though? So, like, does this improve things? I know you said the 80% of the locker room's out on Mac Jones, but do they really think Zappe's going to be better?
So the way I arrived at this is thinking about Mac as a driver, because I'm with you. And I think everyone can see Mac is the best quarterback on the team. They cut Bailey Zappe. We can't say that enough. At the end of training camp, they were like, we're done.
They're
it doesn't
fine
matter
with him
if
not
anyone else
being
wants
here.
him.
Yeah.
You take him. He comes back. 6 weeks later, he's a healthy scratch at Vegas. Like, we don't need you. We just need Malik Cunningham and maybe Will Grier.
Yeah, they literally decided we'd rather basically just dress one quarterback than have you on the roster.
Right. But here's the thing. Because, as I said earlier in the show, when you're not fighting for wins and losses at 2-8 anymore, you're fighting to keep the locker room. And I think when you look at Mac, even though he's the better player, if you think about him as a driver of a car, okay, the guy goes the speed limit. He doesn't run even yellow lights. Like, very conservative, waves passengers through the crosswalk and stops. But he's getting in accidents and crashes more than any other quarterback in the league.
Every once in a while, he just jerks the wheel into oncoming traffic.
And you can't have anyone get in the car with a guy who's been in 3 accidents in the last 10 weeks, which is what's happened when he's gotten benched and the cops take his license away and they give it back to him. But at some point, like, that guy loses his license for good. And that's what's happening here, is you can't have anyone else get in the car with Mac Jones. You have to give it to the 17-year-old baby-face backup in Bailey Zappe, or Malik Cunningham maybe, or Will Grier, and just say, don't hit anything that's moving as we're driving. Just get there.
Will Grier, I don't know anything about Will Grier. I at least saw Malik Cunningham in the preseason. Is there any reason? I mean, I guess there's no reason not to, but is there any chance Will Grier becomes anything?
I don't think so. I mean, Carolina cut bait after like a year and a half. They drafted him in the 3rd round. He was in Dallas, found a home there, but wasn't good enough to stick around with that roster, even as a practice squad player. Goes to Cincinnati. The Patriots pull him before they're about to play Dallas, squeeze all the information they can out of him, and he's on the 53-man roster because, again, the quarterbacks ahead of him, are a little bit better, but they all stink. So I don't know what the answer is, but it's true that Mac is the best option, and they just can't go along with this anymore. So I would bet it's probably more likely to be Bailey Zappi next, or Malik Cunningham, or a combination of the two of them.
Would you rather see Zappi or Cunningham? Cunningham, right?
Cunningham.
It's more fun.
For sure. He's also got a plan B. Like, I never got the reasoning behind Mac Jones is a pocket-bound point guard with average arm strength. He has to win in a very specific way. He has no plan B when things go awry. We see he's the worst quarterback under pressure in the entire league.
He constantly panics.
So
He crouches and gets sacked.
Yeah.
Right. If he gets into trouble and you need to bench him, as they've done now 3 times, put in someone who can win or at least play or have a plan B under these circumstances. Like, he can't overcome one of the worst offensive lines in the league and the worst receiving core. Malik Cunningham might make boneheaded plays as a rookie. That's what rookies do. But he can also scramble around and create something out of nothing that Mac can't. So if you're going to deal with these terrible mistakes, at least give me a guy with some modicum of upside to be able to get out of this. And I think at least that tells the locker room, hey, he's a rookie. This isn't a third-year guy who's been a captain for 2 straight seasons that's hurting the team. This is a kid. We got to figure out what we have. And sometimes he's going to scramble and make something happen. Other times he's going to throw the picks, but Mac's doing that anyway.
Yeah, unless your quarterback's Tom Brady, watching a guy that can actually escape and pick up first downs with his feet is really, well, as Ryan can tell you, being an Eagles fan is a nice thing. I mean, you really stuck with Mac Jones. And I don't think he could have gotten the ball in the end zone on that Hail Mary. All right, I think they did him a favor.
Not a chance.
All right, well, listen, Andrew Callahan probably thinks he could, don't you? Do you think he could have gotten in the end zone?
That Hail Mary at the end of the first half that didn't happen?
There's video evidence. He can throw the ball 60 yards in the air.
I'm asking Andrew.
70 from our friend Phil Perry.
70?
Got him this summer. Yeah.
Wow.
Now,
Oh.
granted, he had all the time in the world to wind up, but he could have
well,
gotten
that
me
was
there.
duck hops.
See, the bigger thing to me was he was never going to get to throw that ball that deep because there's no way the offensive line, even with a 3-man rush, was going to give the receivers enough time to run 50 yards.
I mean, if I crow hop 55 times, I might be able to throw 20 yards. So, I mean, let's
So that's where you land, Andrew Callahan? There was the offensive line, which is why they threw the screen to Pop Douglas to pat the stats?
I have no idea what the hell that was. I wish I did.
well, at least Mac bitched about it after the game. Is he a brat? Like a bratty kid?
I have heard the word brat from one person within the building. I've not heard it anywhere else in people talking in private or publicly.
Oh, yeah, that's a reporter. That's how you report,
We
ladies
have a
and gentlemen.
source. That's all that matters.
We're broadcasting this streaming at Northwestern University right now as you pick up your degrees that will make your tuition back in about 20 years. It's like radio.